discount on cocktails. Use the code FATCOCK when ordering for 25% off.
This is a public announcement. If you find a confused radio presenter aimlessly wandering the corridors, please return them to Studio 5 on the upper rotunda.
This is a public announcement. You? Yes, you. What's that you're eating? It looks lovely.
Buenas noches y bienvenidos a Hutton Orbital Radio, lo más delicioso que vas a consumir un jueves por la noche. Uniéndose a nosotros en el estudio esta noche, tenemos a la dama que dice «me gusta» a las cosas más letales de la galaxia. Una mujer que ha convertido las peleas con sartenes en una forma de arte. Una piloto que puede disculparse con cualquier cosa, en cualquier lugar, cualquier momento. Un bigote sensible, animado y, finalmente, el maestro de todas las costuras. Así que, seguimos con el espectáculo. Nuestros micrófonos están activos.
Hola, mi nombre es Viejo Hijo de Puta Grosero.
Oh, okay, we're doing it like that, are we? Well, mi amo. Mi dedo servirá?
Soy la oficial de disculpa y lo siento mucho, mucho.
Mi nombre es endorsed al dabas.
Y tengo bigote.
That's cheating, that's not your name.
Yeah, but if we translate his name, it's very rude.
Well, so's mine.
Wrong kind of knockers, yours are the brass kind.
Oh, that's okay then.
Fine, I'll do it. Just this once. Mi amo el masturbador. It's okay. You can call me Juan.
And switching back to English before someone says something that will get us yanked off the air, it's the news. Nightmare or warning, it's Groundhog Day all over again.
Ho, 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 green giant.
Getting hotter, getting messier.
Vector's Vector hands victory to Tharg.
Tharg goes where very few pilots have gone before.
Hackswing woken by big noise from HIP 22460.
Divert your attention from all of that and look towards Hutton's space.
And I'll look away from Hutton space at all the expeditions.
Following on from last week's horrifying entry in Humans Do the Stupidest Things, there have been reports from throughout populated space that commanders are waking up every single day from a chilling nightmare retelling of Salvation's finest cock-up. Whether it's the Gnosis avian cheese they had just before bedtime, overindulgence in listening to the dire news from Galnet, or some kind of warning beamed directly to their brains by alien intelligence, commanders are being forced to relive every second of the moment when humanity's silly decision to try and bug swat all Thargoids throughout the galaxy went, well, a little bit pear-shaped. On firing up their ships before every excursion, their remlock devices are snapping into place, and the sights and sounds of blue turning into green, commanders being immobilized, gobbled up, probinated, and subjected to all manner of horrid tortures, much akin to being forced to listen to dockers, are being beamed directly to their brains. Galnet forums are rife with people saying, "Make it stop!" And of course, double rife with all the people suggesting that the escape button, a simple point and click, or the one on the keyboard down at your side marked skip are simple solutions to the problem. But other commanders have advised people to download an alternative video feed to their brains. This, of course, has led to some handy downloads, including the classic Rick Astley tune "Never Gonna Give You Up," which on this occasion could just be another message from Tharg about the HIP 22460 Thargoid party system, Baby Beluga by Rafiki, or even Baby Shark on a 3.5-minute loop. Is the cure even worse than the cause? Well, we leave it up to you, but recommend that you don't mix up your escape pod button for the escape one, as that will leave you floating in space. And with Tharg's minions on the hungry post-Proteus Munchies mission, you're in danger of becoming their latest snack.
Over the last few months, we've been regularly reporting on Commander Flurianiz M's expedition at the Eldritch Gate, but this week, news outlets that are usually behind the times have caught right up. The reason? They've found the Jolly Green Giant. Yes, the first ring green gas giant discovered in 3301 was lost. The pilot, Kelly Eldridge, had accidentally eaten the logs, giving the exact coordinates, and only had a picture out of the ship's window to go on. Undeterred, pilots joined in the search, and using a complicated set of steps that include partial records from the journey, identifying which neutron stars were used to boost the ship's range, star charts based on positions of stars in the picture, and some complicated astrophysics, began a complicated mission that's taken many, many months. The result? The Jolly Green Giant has now been found again in Shaulai, Shaulai, DL-P D5-274 system. Confirmation being received by way of it having a little flag and Commander Kelly Eldridge's name on it. Commander Orange was the first commander to reach the system in 7 years and, despite knowing that the final destination was inevitable, was much relieved that all the science, honking, scooping and jumping wasn't in vain, and promptly using much more modern space technology was the first to map the planet, with ship-launched probes being immortalised in the star logs alongside Kelly. Congratulations are in order to all the commanders who discovered the old and slightly tattered flight logs from the initial discovery, narrowed down the search area, and of course did all the science to make sure that the smallest volume possible needed to be searched. As for Commander Flurianiz M, they're busy plotting the next needle in a haystack search. If you've lost a planet somewhere in the 400 billion out there, if you can't remember where it is, and if it's even remotely interesting to science or news outlets, then you can contact the expedition leader. We look forward to their next endeavour, Raxla.
We are now at the end of the second week of Too Hot, Too Messy, the Hutton-led initiative to deliver Hutton mugs and Centauri Megagin to every single station in the galaxy. Commanders have been busily mugging and gingering their way through the commodities markets of the galaxy, making over 9,700 deliveries and are closing in on the 10,000 mug milestone. Tracked by the marvel that is the Hutton Helper, nearly 40% of deliveries are to stations that were previously unloved and unvisited, and where certainly no mug has gone before. Almost 140 commanders from over 50 squadrons are currently taking part. Of course, Hutton are blazing away at the head of the squadron leaderboard with almost 3,500 deliveries, with the Paladins in second with over 500 muggings, and the two-man squadron, the Undead, third with 370. Some shameless overachiever has broken away and is leading the charge with 740 mugs delivered. However, they are being chased down by a pack of ginger muggers led by Nem with 518 and Mouse 8287 with 368. Also being tracked are those who are supplying mugs and gin free of charge, led by Rincewind Cymru and Nem again, each with around 2,400 units supplied. At this rate, we'll have delivered a canister of Hutton mugs and Centauri Megagin to every station in the galaxy by May 3309. How do we know all of this? It's on the Too Hot 2 Messy event page at hot.forthemug.com/hotmess2. To have your deliveries tracked automatically, you need to sign up by downloading the Hutton Helper from hot.forthemug.com/download, where your mug and gin deliveries will be counted for you by the magic hamsters and their benevolent dictator Entarius Fusion. It comes in 3 flavours: Full Fat Helper, Helper Light and Online Helper, so choose the one that suits you best for your constitution and download it today.
Is it me? I've lost the script tab. Hang on.
Seamless.
Is it gone?
It's that one, number 4, Flossy.
So
I
seamless.
wish it was.
This always happens on the 4th bong, have you noticed?
Got it. Okay.
There we go. Ready? I'm going to cue you up again. Let's do the noise. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
In our own search as to what and why things went a little pear-shaped in HIP 22460, we've received an encoded transmission that we're wondering whether to send to the authorities. Is it a confession? Is it a work of fiction? Does someone have a guilty conscience? All we know is that they're a fan of the number 8, the colour green, and making strange noises in the bathtub before bedtime. Transmission begins.
I had the logs. I won't let him get away with this. The mantra I live by during the past few weeks echoed in my head as I pressed release. With a soft clunk, the device was away, floating softly and howling softly and intermittently. I would like to think that it knew its purpose. I would like to think that, in some way, it told the interceptors what was about to happen and where to strike. I would like to think that the Bright Sentinel didn't suspect a spy in the midst. I would like to think that, in some way, the victory was down to that tiny blue emissary of vengeance.
Commander Vector 883 on planting Thargoid sensors in the frontages of Bright Sentinel the day before Proteus failed. Commander Vector, you're a very naughty pilot, and we know that the authorities are going to want to have a chat. We understand they're looking for an address to send a dry cleaning bill to, as there have been not an inconsequential number of cases of soiled flight suit syndrome in recent days. Oh, but for your honesty, we'll be sending you a pot of paint and some colouring pens so you can decorate your ships. Mainly so that we see you in system, we know to stay well clear of all and any controversies.
The Galactic Close Quarters Combat League was thrown into disarray this week after a new combatant entered the fray. They managed to bypass all the checks and balances that are supposed to pair up commanders with people of similar rank, though to be fair, so is everyone else out there, and launch themselves into a number of matches. They also managed to label their ship as a CQC eligible fighter, managed to pass scrutineering, and jump directly into the system. Now, normally, this would end up with a slap on the wrist, deduction of any points, and of course a visit to the clerk. as well as a waved black flag for illegal maneuvers. However, the competitor appears not to speak a language known anywhere in the galaxy outside of ammonia atmospheres. That's right, a Thargoid rolled up its sleeves and turned up in CQC, shouting the alien equivalent of, "Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough." Which, as it turns out, no one was. Of course, as no one else is playing CQC anymore, well, only a handful, Thar rapidly got bored waiting on the matchmaking screen and instead decided to go back to the HIP 22460 system, which is still teeming with pilots walking around on planet surfaces. And eating them.
Incoming encrypted transmission. Decrypting. Decryption complete.
Stand by for a message from Haxcom Actual.
Hello, Haxwing. By now, you've likely heard of the failure of the Proteus Wave device. In the past, Haxcom has cautioned against working with Salvation, as we did not understand the science behind his weapons, and indiscriminate weapons of mass destruction are counter to the defensive mission of Haxwing. In HIP 22460, we have seen the ultimate results of Salvation's efforts with the failure of the Proteus Wave device and destruction of megaships in the system. But this isn't I told you so. Haxcom takes the galaxy as it is, not as we'd like it to be. We still need to be prepared to defend human space, and there may still be survivors in HIP 22460. Right now, we need to concentrate on covering the retreat of human forces from the system and searching any wreckage for survivors. Note that all Thargoids in HIP 22460, interceptors and scouts, are hostile on sight. This includes commanders on foot and even Apex taxis. If you are not participating in combat or search and rescue operations, Haxcom advises you stay out of HIP 22460. An additional warning, Guardian-based technology is being degraded by the remnants of the Proteus Wave device when in HIP 22460. Classic AX multi-cannons and missile racks are not affected, but as we know, they're not terribly effective against Thargoid interceptors. At the time of this briefing, we have not seen any counterattacks by Thargoid forces, but they have likely been provoked by the firing of the Proteus Wave device, and we should expect increased combat operations in the near future. That is all for now, truckers. Watch each other's backs, keep an eye on the signal sources, and always be ready to defend the mug.
Haxcom message complete. Defend the mug.
Encrypted transmission complete.
Well, it's been another lovely quiet week in the Situation Room here at the Orbital. Not much to do but play with the Venetian blinds, water my spider plant and polish my rocket launcher. Apart from the usual trio of delinquents and clutch of overachievers, the only blemish on the Master Situation Threat Board display panel is an outbreak, and the opposable thumbs of teenage angst are closing in to pop that particular pimple. More on those stories coming up. In its regular spot at the foot of the table, Barnard's star is steady on 31%, but still, its citizens are evidently very happy and popcorn sales have boomed since every other faction is in an election or war, tying up almost half of the system's influence. Despite cruising along nicely in the low 40s until a couple of days ago, our most popular system, Epsilon Indy, has just dropped below the threshold at which Alvin pricks up an ear and stares inquiringly in its general direction. The outbreak in Epsilon Eridani has bitten the system hard, dropping the system 7 points from a healthy 42 to 35 in just a week. The Mad Monks are a comfortable 14 points behind in second place, but truckers should relieve the situation quickly by shipping in quantities of medicines to the large pads and making a small killing in the process. At the overachieving end of the Hutton systems table, we have 5 systems above 60%, and whatever Overlight is doing in Haghole stays in Haghole. Priorities this week are, if you want to truck something, relieve the outbreak in Epsilon Eridani.
The community is a bit quiet of late, but we've had reports from these expeditions this week. Does the sun still rise in the east, and passage to Andromeda? Still getting over his recent disappointment that Sally declined his kind invitation to travel to the edge of the galaxy to kick him between his landing gear, Commander the Presence is heading home, waving his Dysonator around as he returns. Here's his latest incoming message from the Does the Sun Still Rise in the East, week 24.
This is my tussock. There are many like it, but this one is mine. And it is with huge relief that it still is, as I had an awful thought that my little setback, according to the lovely Flossy, may have cost me my codex entries too. I count myself very fortunate that I have them, so can leave the Tenebrae sector with my head still held high, and all the geologicals counted and catalogued as they were before my rapid unscheduled dismantling. Thank you, Mr. Musk, for that one. It still means that I'm finding that the man, the mustache, the myth that is Commander Chicks, has gotten his name plastered on a Laura systems. And when he does, his name is on all the best planets too. Psh. I'm still finding interesting ones too, though, such as Planet Zebra Crossing here. And I'd really rather be looking at this sort of thing, or another bacterium, than scouring the Pleiades and Vela Dark sectors for new artifacts. Honest. Seriously. Although I must confess to taking great comfort and laughing like a drain when Salvation blew his load and got owned by the Thargoids. I don't think that one's ever going to get old. Unlike him. Progress is not good. Though I know that picture may not look like much, but that's 4,000 light years, plus scans, mapping and exobiology, and dropping in at the odd notable stellar phenomenon. That's a lot of bimbling and fossicking about, and I'm just under halfway to my next port of call. Not the DSSA Spartacus yet, but another carrier that hopefully will mean I don't have to revisit the particular area of the Milky Way for many years to come. Until next week, TTFN 07.
Starting a month from today, Commander Yannick is keen to have more commanders sign up for his latest expedition, Passage to Andromeda. This isn't the first time that the team behind this has put on an event, so you should be in safe hands, but let's hear it from him. Starting on 18th of September in the Lave system, Passage to Andromeda is a celebration of and a tribute to the exploration community of Elite itself. We are an experienced team running expeditions including the very popular Apollo 11 and Apollo 15 expeditions, Apollo 11 being the most well attended after Distant Worlds 1 and 2. So many commanders. Sorry.
Seamless.
It's control key. Oh, where am I?
We can take over, Flossy. Distant Worlds 1 and 2.
It's
you've got
okay.
it.
I'm back. Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that. So many commanders travel with us time after time throughout the galaxy because we know how to put on a good show, and being typical of explorers, we all learn something new along the way. Remember, our theme this time is you. Yes, you. The exploration community itself. The heroes that make all this possible. Our final destination is the closest star to the galactic neighbour of Andromeda, the logical jumping-off point for any future expeditions seeking to cross the seemingly endless wastes of intergalactic space. This place is the mysterious Star 1. We are an exclusive expedition flying in PC groups, Horizon 3.8 and Odyssey 4, and also on PlayStation and Xbox. So, with only 1 more month to go, sign up today on EDSM. Do you know of any event that we aren't covering and that you would like featured? Then drop us a line in our #correspondence channel in the Hutton Discord.
And, we're back in the studio. We're very sorry, Fester. I may have, accidentally eaten some of those pictures, but some pictures were there during that bit. I don't know what they were, but there were some pictures. They were probably good. Fester's pictures were awesome, by the way.
I think all we can say is that at the end, Flossy topped it off and won it all back anyway.
Exactly.
With a huff. She went for a huff.
Oh, with added engineered huff was perfect, yes.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't apologise. I'm going to say this is
it was my turn last week. It's your turn.
I know now why I changed my press to talk from control, because it alters the size of the type if I happen to scroll while I'm pressing the...
So was it going extra large or extra small?
Extra small, extra large. It was,
of course.
whichever way I scrolled my mouse.
Whatever way you scrolled, it was
I'm
the wrong way.
I'm gonna have to change it again, and I don't know what to, because everything seems to have an effect.
What about your space bar?
The space bar, that's over at Frontier's offices.
That's doesn't that make you jump in your seat as you
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, possibly.
Anyway,
I'll have to find something.
Welcome to Hutton Orbital Live. Now, we're sort of live, apart from the rest of the team are over in the studio, and I'm not this evening. As you can probably tell by the intro, I'm in parts foreign.
Yes.
Now, does anybody want to attempt to translate what on earth we just said at the start of the show? No, you don't, do you?
We'll take that as a no.
Suffice to say, there are puns that do not translate to other languages. So what we had to do was take the puns and their rude meaning and put them through Google Translate about 4 or 5 times in a row, and then it came out with some words, which may or may not be rude. So if there's anybody listening in Spanish, we really... Actually, apology officer, you can do this bit. You can do it in Spanish as well, because you know what the words are.
Oh, God, I'll need to
from
scroll
the top.
back up.
You have to scroll all the way back up. Yes. That last bit,
That's
after
okay.
the comma.
Ilia siento mucho.
We are very, very sorry if you were listening in Spanish.
I remembered that. I didn't have to scroll. It was good.
Well, even better. Look, it's lovely to be back. And this week and
Yo
next
no soy
week...
marinero.
Yes, el masturbador. Sorry,
Did you
chick.
just lean out the window and ask some sort of passerby Spanish?
No,
person?
the opening was...
Oi, gringo!
But my son
You said
Henry...
gringo.
Well,
He's
oi.
got the rolling of the R's very right. The rrr, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Commander Chicks, El Masturbador.
Yes.
I'm going to keep going with this one. There was a Frontier live stream this week.
No, there wasn't.
Oh.
You can't get me that easily.
Oh,
Hallucinating.
so the sofa did not come back this week, and the special guests and...
Do I sound like somebody who's just had a minor panic because his wireless keyboard has died and he's just rushed off and grabbed some new batteries and hoping they were charged? And no, I don't sound like that.
No, you don't sound like that at all. No,
That's pretty, that's pretty
not
good.
at all. Not at
That's
all.
not bad.
I think that's good covering that.
Well,
No good, better than me.
well, we're in the studio. We have Flossy, we have Chicks, we've got the Apology Officer, we've got Amelia. 2 weeks in a row. You're back-ish again this week.
It's getting good, isn't it?
We are going to feed you some so tasty Galnet rares this week.
Oh, I like tasty rares.
I mean, Thargoids, watch out. This one's incoming.
You'll have to use your loaf on this one.
And Flossy, we've got the return of CGs this week, I believe. You've got something to tell us?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Do we have double engineered diddly doodahs with an extra huff?
No.
Maybe. I
Not
suppose
that I know of so far.
first things first, though, we do have to say a happy birthday to one of Team Hotbox. One of Team Hotbox, a former and current major star of Team Hotbox, Commander Venezia.
A former manager, yes. He's old.
Yeah, I know. His
ginger bits are turning into white bits.
I know, and he's busy with no sleep and babies and that kind of stuff. But happy birthday, Commander Venezia.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Sorry,
Right.
I'm still thinking about somebody in their up to their armpits.
Can we sing happy birthday to him?
We really should.
We really should, shouldn't we?
Apology, officer. Can you do the apology first?
Yeah. For what we are about to
No. This is the holiday version of the apologies.
Oh, Ilia siento mucho.
Thank you. Right. 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Commander Venezia.
Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
The joys of doing this from a different country where I'm about 3/4 of a second out from you guys. Oh, right.
Is that all? You sounded like it a lot more.
What do you mean? I wasn't singing. I hit mute button then because there's no way you need to hear that as well. Right. So I'm going to shuffle around the order of things here because we have got a draw for another Hutton mug this week. We've had notifications from Commander Palantir brackets retired that we've had the details of Winnie 1974 in now, and they will be getting their mug soon. Brackets trademark.
Hooray.
Yeah, and we do have another mug draw to do in a little bit. But, too hot, too messy. We are in week 2. Now, I was hoping...
No, we just ended week 2. We're now in week 3.
Week 3, okay. Commander Chicks, I was hoping by the show that somebody would have got their finger out. I know, and we were going to hit the 10,000, and we are
not far off.
210 mugs.
What enough time?
Oh, you're looking at it now, okay.
210 mugs short at the moment. So, by the way, if you're listening to the show and you're not delivering mugs, go do it now. Because by the end of the show, we might hit 10,000 mugs. But we've got some tips and tricks and what's going on. So first things first, Emilia.
Yes.
We were a bit concerned in previous weeks that we were getting about 7 gin and about 10 mugs. But we have good news this week.
We do?
We do, yes.
Awesome, I love good news. What's the good news?
Well, it's there in front of you with a big black dot.
It's the first bullet. It's the first bullet point under too hot, too messy.
Somebody give Amelia her glasses
See
back.
It's that one there. Look there. See.
Boom and civil liberty in AC. So mug/gin production is up to 68/28.
68.
But it would have been much more fun if someone had said it to me after I, been so excited about the good news.
well, it would have been, yes. But it wouldn't have put you on the spot so much. And, yeah. Right. So, Commander Chicks, the next little note on your too hot, too messy notes is...
Good job I've put the batteries in my keyboard, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, what do you mean about the dockable ports, or do you want to?
No, the out of the corner of your eye bit.
Out of the corner.
Yeah, you need the next bullet point.
Sorry,
Number 2.
I wrote
that one there. Look, that one.
So the next time some people get the mugs from Hutton Orbital. Some people get them off other people from fleet carriers and pick them up in space. But if you're at Hutton Orbital next time, just keep your eye on the exact time when you buy your mugs.
And gin.
And gin. Well, actually, I was only buying gin because I've already got loads of mugs. But anyway, you'll find that it's about 10 minutes. But if you land or look at the market before 10 minutes, I'm convinced it doesn't refresh for several more minutes. I have this sort of hypothesis.
Is this a paint drying
It's always
thing?
exactly 10 minutes. I always time it.
No, it doesn't. Because I've had it 25 minutes and half an hour sometimes.
Occasionally it's a bit longer.
If you're over eager, right, and you get there early and you start spamming the F5 button, The gin team say, no, you're far too eager. You're not having a gin.
You've had too much. You're not having it anymore.
One of the things I was told as well is, see when you do it, come right back out of the station menu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you buy them, come out the station menu and wait your 10 minutes.
Now, the apology officer, you've been out in Edinburgh, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and when you go
Not
out
recently,
in Edinburgh
but,
and you wander up to one of the bars there's a special breed of door staff they make in Edinburgh that basically says, I think you've had too much, you're going to have to go and take a walk around the block before you can come in.
No, I never met them.
You never met them? Well, all over the centre of Edinburgh. Or maybe it's only if you're English. Only if you're English.
I think
you don't drink, so it's no surprise.
Yeah, it's possibly to do with being English and possibly to do with I'm not going to be drunk if I'm not drinking.
No. Well, you see, I went on a stag do over in Edinburgh, and we'd been out during the day. We were smartly dressed. We'd been out during the day. We did a track day, racing cars around. You have to be sober for that one. And we went and we shot guns at plastic pigeons, and we had to be sober for that one. And then at the end of being sober and blowing things up and driving things, exactly, we went to Edinburgh city centre and walked up to a bar, absolutely stone cold. I've just been shooting guns and driving cars sober, and went to go in, and they went, "Oh, we think you've been drinking, you have to go and walk around the block." At which point the stag party was like, what? We have stayed off the sauce, specially. No, and the doorman was having none of it.
See, now if you could down to Ayrshire where my brother lives, you could have done all of that while pissed.
If we'd been drinking, we'd probably been allowed in, but we weren't.
And you could have sat in the sofa in the front garden.
And so we think Hutton Orbital's a bit like that one. If you turn up and look like you've had too much gin, they're going to say, no, you're going to go and do a loop of shame and come back and see us in a minute, aren't you?
I did find the thing to fix it was to leave the station and come back.
Exactly, in a different moustache.
Which is what you're
with
going to do
glasses.
anyway.
You just hog in the medium pad for longer.
Exactly. Right, so the next thing on your list was when you land. I mean, there is an element of danger to Too Hot, Too Messy, because you can fly to a space station, it's fine. They say, welcome back, even if they've never seen you before. And you send them mugs and gin. But you go to one of these planetary things. And you land and you look around the place and the lights are on, it looks pretty, and then all of a sudden something bad happens.
Sometimes.
Yeah, the scavengers, generally. So the station's been knocked offline by, let's say, Rampage or Dead Meat having stolen everything.
We don't mean those little floaty Fargoid things.
Not Errol. No, not Errol.
Not Errol's, no.
We're talking about the good old-fashioned, they rob the place.
Nasty mofos with guns.
Yeah. So you land there, and they start running towards your ship en masse and throwing grenades and shooting at your ship. Now, you've still got access to the commodity market at this point. So, yes, when you land, you do want to offload your mugs and gin straight away, because otherwise the scavengers are going to melt your face. But also, if you decide to hop out and rob the place, bad things will happen to your ship. If your ship's got 200 tons of gin on it, it's going to end up in a big fireball and all go a little bit wrong. Right. So, Amelia. No, I'm not going to... This
Yes.
one... No, you haven't been doing this one. This is unfair. I'm going to go apology officer on the next one. So, there's a new thing in the nav panel on the left-hand side. There's the GAL map, there's the system map, and there's a third button.
There is.
Is that the number of ports minus the number of fleet carriers?
Yes, so there is a new tab you can pop up which tells you how many dockable ports there are in the system. But Commander Chicks, dockable ports includes everything: asteroids, space stations, settlements, fleet carriers, yada, 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 yada.
But it's a good guide because the Hutton Helper clearly works on a database of who's been there before. And as we're finding out, nobody's been to 40% of the places we've mugged so far.
I know about that.
The big number. Oh, yeah.
If you... I found it works exactly, actually, because I had one earlier today and it said 76 or something, and the helper said something like 34. So as you find new ones, you add them, and finally you reconcile the two numbers together. You take the number from the summary, take off the number of fleet carriers, and then just work the Hutton Helper number up to
Well,
that.
we do understand that if you apply the filters and exclude fleet carriers from your left-hand menu, that number goes down.
Does it?
I just check it planet by planet. What I did find was I went into the system I've been working on, and it started with 15 targets. And it tells you at the top of your system, if you're looking your system up in Hutton Helper, and you look your system up, say it was Alpha Centauri, and it says something. In mine it says 37 hot mess targets in system, and then in brackets 15 starting targets. So it will update it as you're adding these. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Now,
I'm still not finished. I knew as soon as I get into the system, I took one look and went, there's that many ports and that many occupied planets. There is no way there's only 15 in this system.
Yeah, it does. If you filter out the fleet carriers, it does knock them off the list.
Yeah, I mean, you go to Shinrata Desra and it'll say, 200 or whatever it is, 250 dockable ports. You're probably wrong.
No, it doesn't. You can't get into Shinrata Desra with a fleet carrier.
Oh, it's a fair point. Yes, so let's go for, I don't know,
Barnard Star. There was 150 in Barnard Star.
When Commander Shouty designed this event, there were 130,000 places to deliver to. Now, having done some scouring, there are 182,000.
That's not bad.
We've done some sums. We reckon there's going to be 250 to 270,000 by the end of it, which is comfortably double our first plan, which is why...
Do you know what?
Go on then.
Do you know what? You will be able to put your free Christmas wrapping paper paint jobs on your ships as you're doing it, because we're still going to be doing it at Christmas.
Well, yes, at the moment...
3309.
Well, earlier today it was saying sometime in May. It's gone back to April.
Don't forget we started in March.
We started in March, so it's beginning to settle down a tiny bit.
2020.
Yeah. Obviously, the Hutton hamsters are going to have to be prognosticators about how many do you think. We think it's about 30% of planetary bases have never been visited, which means 130,000 becomes an extra 40,000. Yeah, carry the one. Yeah, it's about 250,000.
Here's the thing, though. By the end of this, they will all have been visited. Every single planetary.
Well, unless somebody's been naughty and skipped some, yes.
But the people who run Inara and EDSM and all those other things were lovers.
Yeah.
Amelia.
Yes.
There's a wonderful 3-word phrase that it explains why we do all the things we do out there in space.
Yes.
Think George Mallory.
Yes, that one. Yep.
Who's George Mallory?
Who's George Mallory?
Mallory Towers. I have no idea, but you know this 3-word phrase. We do it because
I shout it at the end of every show.
Can you do a quiet version for us?
For the mug.
It's for the mug. And every single week since this started, which means 1 week so far, we have been giving away a real, genuine, not knocked off on Redbubble Hutton mug. And it's about time we announce the next winner of the Hutton mug. The legit, genuinely original, not fake, gonna save you from mods Hutton mug. I'm just looking in our chat channel to see
what... Can we have a drum roll?
You don't think I took a drum with me all the way to Spain, do you?
They got them over there.
I think I've got a sausage roll. Would that do?
No, I can't do that. Now, I'm just checking the chat channel to see whether this commander is in. The commander may not be in the chat channel. However, who'd like the honours this week? Flossy. So, our winner, Flossy, this week, genuine Hutton mug is...
Commander Rocky Star.
Commander Rocky Star, congratulations. We understand
I don't have a bottle of champagne to pop the cork, but...
There we go.
There we go.
Commander Rocky Star, you are this week's winner of a genuine Hutton mug. I understand it was somewhere around the 50 mugs delivered and 50 gins delivered this week.
That's pretty good.
So congratulations, Commander Rocky Star. If anyone, by the way, I can't see Rocky Star in the chat channel. So if anybody in the squadron or anybody in space anywhere can be friends with Commander Rocky, that's ROCKY Star, can they please find them and tell them they've won a mug and to send us an email over at Apology Officer?
I took part at huttonorbital.com.
And if you send us some details, we will post you out a genuine, original, not knocked off Redbubble Hutton mug in silver,
genuine, original, money can't buy,
with the handle upside down special.
Or it might be the handle right side up special. You just don't know.
It could be. Now, Commander Psycho Cow has resurrected his broadcasting credentials in the last week and a bit as well. And you may have noticed over on the Gal Twit and Gal Book and everything else, we've been posting up. Oh, he's gone live. He tends to go live for about 2 to 3 hours at a time, and does a request show. Has anybody taken part in the request show recently?
Yes.
I just missed the end of it. I went into chat and it just...
Right.
Not at all.
So, what we've done with the Hutton Helper and Intarius and the Hutton Hamsters is we've wired up the Hutton Helper to Psycho Cow's radio decks, which means if in chat, anywhere in game, you just type the word request and then a tune or a tuner and artist, it gets fed automatically to the desk of Psycho Cow, and you can request tunes to be played on Hutton Orbital Radio. Now, that's not Hutton Orbital Radio as in Hutton Orbital Video and Radio like we are on Twitch. It is on radio.forthemug.com, and he will play your tunes. We will be putting notifications up when we go live on Twitter and on Facebook and all sorts. But if you tune into radio.forthemug.com and you hear the dulcet tones of Commander Psycho Cow, then you can type in chat, in-game, request, and then a tune, or a message to him even, and he will play maybe whatever you request. Unless he hates it, and then he'll play something really good, like Baby Beluga, or Baby Shark, or... yes.
Stick song. The stick song.
The stick, sticky, stick. We have a message from chat.
Stick.
I will pass a message on from Epaphras. Thank you very much, Epaphras, for passing the message on to our winner this week.
Oh, excellent.
So, Amelia, if somebody would like to be included in the draw for a Hutton mug next week, next Thursday, what do they have to do?
Well, they have to have the Hutton Helper installed.
Well, yeah.
And bung shouty a tenner.
No, it's money can't buy. Don't tell them that.
Yes, but what else do you have to do during the week? I mean, you don't have to have it. You have to do something.
Well, you have to ship the mugs and gin to places.
But how many mugs and gin?
As many as you can.
But at least
all the mugs and all the gins.
At least 10.
Oh yeah, there's a minimum of 10, but don't do 10.
Yeah.
Do all of them.
10 of each.
Yeah.
Do every single one.
Do all of them. But yes, 10 mugs, 10 gin during the week, and you'll be in the running, and you can join our winners, Winnie 1974, and who was the other one? Rocky
Star.
Rocky Star, yes.
And if you don't have the Hutton Helper, you need to get your bottoms over to hot.forthemug.com and get yourself a copy.
And the rest of you. I don't want to go in there and see a load of mums.
Right. So we're going to move on. Mug draw. Yes, well done. Yeah, mug draw. Stops you getting mods. Do we have anything else to add to the banter bit before we move on to the El Burrow that is Flossy's CG News, and I hope that these buttons actually work?
Aardvarks.
Aardvarks.
Aardvark!
And now, and with no further ado, but a whole heap of aardvarks, it's Flossy.
Aardvark!
With the return of the Community Goal News.
Aardvark.
It's Flossy.
Hippopotamus.
It's Flossy.
That's just weird.
It's Flossy. It's Flossy. And the community goes.
Hello, Flossy here with this week's Community Goals News. There were no CGs last week, but plenty of other stuff going on. And this week we have one new CG. Sirius requests resources for Alliance. Supplies have been requested in the Leasy system to help improve the infrastructure of the Alliance Defence Force. The initiative was outlined by Admiral Nicholas Glass, the representative from the Sirius Navy who sits on the Council of Admirals. The shocking events in the HIP 22460 system have increased the need for Allied systems to prepare stronger defences against the Thargoid menace. Therefore, we have begun to enhance the responsive capabilities of the Allied Defence Force. As a first step, Sirius Corporation will outfit new Sentry megaships which will possess the experimental axe weapons that were deployed by the Oath of Tindaris. The more resources we can gather, the more megaships we can prepare. These will then serve as an operational hubs for anti-Xeno engagements within Allied space. The materials required are energy grid assemblies, magnetic emitter coils, power transfer buses and titanium. Pilots who transport these to the Chariot of Rhea in the Leasty system will be rewarded for their efforts. In related news, Sirius Corporation's megaship El Centinela Cadillo has completed rescue efforts following the disaster in HIP 22460. Under orders from Admiral Glass, it has returned to the Arimpoc system, from where the survivors will be transported to their homes. For each tier reached during the campaign, Sirius Corporation will construct one non-dockable Axe megaship for the Alliance Defence Force, up to a total of 6. These will be deployed to key Allied systems when ready. The campaign began today, the 25th of August 3308, and if the final target is met earlier than planned, the campaign will end immediately. To earn rewards, you must sign up as an active participant before delivering energy grid assemblies, magnetic emitter coils, power transfer buses and titanium to the Chariots of Rhea in the Leasty system. And that's it for this week's CG News.
Flossy told you what to do.
Okay, so that was evil of me because I edited the script live as we were talking. I'll do this.
Yeah, that always works out well, doesn't it, David?
Yeah, I know. And now it's time for us to attempt to be multicultural again and introduce the next bit. So,
will I do the next bit?
I'll do dos cervezas, por favor.
Oh, that was a bit I was going to do. Y ahora el momento del resumen de noticias del Galnet con los consomadantes Waterspoon y Beetlejuice.
Galnet News Digest, 18th of August 3308. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, the Sirius Corporation pays lip service to protecting the Alliance from Thargoids. Professor Palin gives us his thoughts on Thargoids. The Fargod cult gains a new enemy. The very first green gas giant is rediscovered after 7 years, down the back of the sofa. And Commander Alec Turner finds something silly to do with unclassified relics.
The Sirius Corporation plans to build more megaships like the Oath of Tyndareus, following its spectacular success in HIP 22460 last week. Admittedly, the Oath of Tyndareus is now a smoking wreck, smeared with toxic green Thargoid goop, but Sirius feels like the best thing it can do for the Alliance is to build some more like that, with experimental AX weaponry welded onto the hull of an old freighter. The intention is that these lightweight megaships will become the operational hubs for engaging Thargoids that attack Alliance space. The Thargoids, if HIP 22460 is an accurate predictor, will cut through these new megaships like caustic corrosion cuts through the lightweight alloy hull of a Sidewinder. Sirius has asked for contributions of energy grid assemblies, magnetic emitter coils, power transfer buses and titanium to be dropped off at the Chariot of Rhea in Leasty, claiming slightly misleadingly that those who help will be rewarded. In fact, there are concerns that Sirius may be pocketing a large proportion of the payment it receives from the Alliance to provide anti-Xeno protection. The Chariot of Rhea is offering less for energy grid assemblies than George Lucas Station in the same system. It's likely that Sirius will be shamed into increasing the amount it's willing to pay, but its contribution to the safety of the Alliance seems half-hearted at best. The only Sirius Corporation megaship that went anywhere near the battle in HIP 22460 has returned to the Alliance Arimpox system, carrying the few survivors from the Alliance Defence Force fleet. No Sirius ships took part in the battle.
A leading expert in Thargoids has warned that Salvation's attempt to wipe out Thargoids in HIP 22460 means that the Thargoids no longer view humans as minor pests. They view us as a threat. But he still has hope for our future relations with them. Professor Ishmael Palin is perhaps the galaxy's foremost authority on Thargoids and Thargoid technology. He took a close interest in the first discoveries of Thargoid sensors in the Pleiades in September 3301. Coming from a federal background, he left the Homeland Scientific Council to lead a research project. He objected to the secrecy the Federation tried to impose on his research, and other organisations also seemed to have objections to his openness. It is believed that Salvation's Black Flight mercenaries may have been behind the kidnapping of the Professor in early 3302, possibly in an attempt to prevent him from publishing his findings. He developed the early versions of corrosion-resistant cargo racks to further his research. Now staunchly independent, Palin moved his research centre from the Pleiades to the Alliance system of Ark in 3305. It was the Palin Research Institute that suggested that Thargoids might live a nomadic lifestyle in huge hive ships, something that old and previously secret INRA and Azimuth biochemicals documents now seem to bear out. Following the victory of the Thargoids in HIP 22460, Professor Palin has committed his thoughts to paper for the Empirical Journal of Science. Palin is keen that we should not think of the Thargoids as mindless insects. He insists that they are a species of enormous intelligence and complexity, but acknowledges that we have little or no understanding of what it is to be a Thargoid, what their society is like and what they're striving to achieve. What makes a Thargoid happy? We just don't know. Despite Professor Albert Ezro's efforts at Aegis Research, we have almost completely failed to communicate with them. We know that they have sophisticated technology that can rip a human spacecraft out of hyperspace for inspection. And we know that Thargoids are not hostile unless they detect hostility or Guardian technology, which they despise, or the human ship fails to drop cargo as requested. And although we do not understand their language, it is clear when they're waiting for cargo to be abandoned. They are like border guards, checking our suitcases. Thargoids are willing to fight if they need to, a trait they have in common with humans. They harvest meta-alloys and they collect escape pods. They have existed for millions of years longer than we have, and are likely to be far more sophisticated and technologically advanced. They may be advanced to a point that we simply don't recognise their capabilities. Palin is unwilling to use the unverified accounts of INRA and Azimuth research about the anatomy of Thargoids. Until we have peer-reviewed evidence, he says, we cannot know for sure whether the Thargoids are one with their ships, or if they fly them from inside, like a human pilot. Palin wonders whether the Thargoids experience space-time in a different way from humans. Perhaps their hostility at the Guardians is because they see the ancient conflict between the two alien species as an ongoing conflict. But now, with the firing of the Proteus wave, the second attempt by humanity to wipe out the Thargoids that have been peacefully checking our cargo holds for the past few years, may now see us as an enemy worth paying attention to. Palin says that now, more than ever, we must seek to understand the Thargoids, not to treat them as a hostile swarm of insects, and to hope that they have the capacity to see beyond our actions in HIP 22460. Both Professor Palin and Ramtar, who is an expert on the Guardians, are keen to see further samples of the recently discovered unclassified relics, which appear to be Guardian Thargoid hybrid technology.
The very first green gas giant has been rediscovered after being misplaced for 7 years. Way back in May 3301, explorer Kelly Eldridge took a photo of a gas giant with bright green stripes. She described it as the strangest gas giant I've seen so far. On returning to the bubble, she retired from exploration. It was only much later that it was realised just how exceptionally rare green gas giants like this are. There are a few others, but Commander Eldridge's green gas giant was the first one ever discovered. Only Commander Eldridge couldn't remember where the gas giant was. There was just the one photo, some memories, and a few handwritten journal entries that were at best vague on location. But this was a site of historic interest for explorers. They really wanted to know the location of the very first green gas giant. And so, earlier this year, they resolved to use a combination of deduction, sleuthing and brute force exploration to find the missing planet. Commander Richard Flurianiz organised the expedition called At the Eldridge Gate to coordinate the efforts. It was a group effort, with some commanders working on recreating the probable route of Commander Eldridge, while others pored over historical evidence for clues. Back in 3301, the Discovery Scanner was both more primitive and more powerful than what we have now. You could see a system map instantly without having to use the full system scanner, but you had to explicitly fly close to and scan every body, including the stars, to record that you discovered them. This meant that Commander Eldridge passed through many systems without leaving any record. Only neutron stars, which in 3301 were high-value items with universal cartographics, had her name on them. Knowing that Eldridge had stayed on the galactic plane, and knowing the approximate route, a line of tagged neutron stars was discovered. It then became a question of matching objects seen in the background of Commander Eldridge's historic photograph. The Lesser Magellanic Cloud gave an orientation, and the star density gave a rough idea of where along the route to look. And it was eventually a pattern of stars that looked similar to the Plough constellation that led Commander Orange, with an exclamation mark, to the correct system. He knew as soon as he jumped in that this must be the system. Just one discovered planet, a gas giant. After diligently scanning the entire system, Commander Orange was able to confirm, by taking a recreation of the original photograph from 7 years ago, that this was in fact the original missing green gas giant of Commander Kelly Eldridge. Commander Orange has written a detailed account of the discovery, which is well worth reading. He describes the eerie calm of knowing that he was the first person to visit this special system for 7 years. And now it's to be a party system. On Saturday the 20th of August, Commander Richard Flurianiz, the organiser of the expedition, is throwing a party in the system. Shaolai DL-P D5-274, on the closest moon of the newly rediscovered green gas giant. Details are available from the Independent Explorers Association. You never know, perhaps one day there'll be a tourist beacon.
The Anti-Xeno Initiative, an organisation dedicated to showing the Thargoids just how aggressive humanity can be in defending the human-occupied territories that in the past few years have been taken from the Thargoids, is not best pleased with the Far God cult's declaration of delight in the total rout of humanity from the HIP 22460 system after Salvation's Proteus wave backfired. The people of the Far God religious sect anticipate with a mixture of delight and resignation what they see as the inevitable elimination of humanity from the galaxy at the hands of their dark deity, the Far God, and his angels of doom, the Thargoids. They are, or rather were, split into 3 branches in 3 megaships based on their expectations for the afterlife. The Sacrosanct contained the upper echelons of the cult, those who believed that the Far God would turn them into Thargoids. and that they would outlast the premature heat death of the galaxy. It was blown up by the NMLA last year with the loss of everyone on board, and there was no record of Thargoid angels spiralling out of the debris, so they were probably disappointed. The perdition contains the gloomy nihilists that make up the bulk of the cult, who hope for nothing more than a swift, painless annihilation at the hands, or perhaps tentacles, of their god. And the Testament contains the Latter-day Saint equivalents of the Far God religion, endlessly cheerful, well-dressed young missionaries recruiting novices to a belief system that declares everything is pointless, and you might as well just hang around on street corners waiting for the end of the universe. It is the Testament that now has a new and more focused version of the cult on board, the True Chapters, and it is the first apostle, possibly the leader of the True Chapters, who expressed such delight in the success of the Thargoid angels in defeating the untrustworthy and blasphemous humans. By an accident of flight schedules, the perdition was in the Merope system this week, and the AXI took it upon themselves to welcome the perdition to Thargoid hunting territory with an impressive display of AX weaponry. The peaceful and fatalistic folk of the perdition took their punishment without retaliation, and have since moved to Pleiades Sector AB-W B2-4, the site of the first crashed Thargoid interceptor discovered by Noctrak and Ihazovich. But for now, all they're going to see through the portholes of the perdition is an impressive barrage of flat cannon and signs reading "Get off our lawn" and "Traitors to humanity not welcome here."
After hearing about the 1,000,000 credits Professor Palin is offering for the new green unclassified relics, which are made by burning blue Guardian relics in a Thargoid device, Commander Alec Turner, who claims he learned everything he knows from Ghost Giraffe, decided to hand a shipload of these relics over to Professor Palin in person. He was hoping for a handshake, a slap on the back, and a "well done, you've furthered the cause of science more than you could ever imagine." But Palin failed to appear for the promised appointment. That's just so like folk with flashy titles, isn't it? So Commander Turner was left with a pile of unclassified relics, which the Down with the Kids folk variously call Grelics, Trelics, or even Garlics. He managed to sell most of them to someone he met at the bar for an incredible profit, or so he says. And he used one to propose to a hapless pilot he happened to meet. The unsolved mystery is, why did he park his SRV on top of the concourse?
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news, so you don't have to.
Thank you, Commanders Beetlejude and Witherspoon. Now it's time to go over to Mia Harkness to find out who has overachieved at what this week. It's the Hutton Helper results.
Bienvenido a los resultados de ayudante de Hutton. La mejor manera para mí de saber lo que estás haciendo cada semana. ¡Ah! 21! Eres un gran bastardo! Right, that's more like it. The Hutton Helper results are sponsored by the Hutton Helper, the only third-party resource to come with a free cockpit fridge to stick your head into. This week we have the following events: the It's Cooler at the Edges Cup, the Factor 5000 for Ginger Commanders Delivery Challenge, the Scottish Commanders Go Taps Off Deja Vu Trophy, the Is It Hot in Here or Is Someone Trying to Boil Me Up Charity Shield, the Frying Tonight, Bang Zoom Straight to the Prison Ship Award, the Air-Conditioned Dolphin Tournament, the Pequero Boro de Membre Dodgy Translation Award. So, if you smell bacon cooking, you've been in the sun too long, don't touch anything with your bare hands, and if you spontaneously combust, then you're disqualified. The Hutton Helper results are: Comet Born jumped 40,000 light years to come first in distance travelled. Commander Checks sold 57,000 tonnes of cargo. Montgomery Python is our top mission runner with 520 mission points. Well, she's back, everybody. Alex Zuno handed in 5,555,555,555 credits worth of bounties. Rogue 23SOC handed in 553 million credits worth of combat bonds, and Rocky Star delivered 210 people to their various destinations. So decals this week for Rocky Star: Kerrig Wiener for Thargoid ships killed. We think he might be Craig Wiener or something. Please email itookpart@huttonorbital.com and arrange to collect your Hutton decal kit, which this week consists of a tiny battery fan for the fan that your granny had, and branding iron and a mini milk ice lolly. There have been 67 Hutton runs this week. We're settling in a pattern of reloading carriers with mugs and gin and making the occasional top-up run, so it's all good. Allocation of 68 mugs and 28 gins have helped a bit too. So, the top 5 this week are Impala Mark with 1 hour 23 minutes 14 seconds, Manu Workel with 1 hour 23 minutes and 36 seconds, Attic with 1 hour 23 minutes and 38 seconds, Constance Flux with 1 hour 23 minutes and 42 seconds, and Waller 81 with 1 hour 23 minutes and 59 seconds, so you need to be under 1 hour 24. There's a whole galaxy of stuff out there needing mistranslated to and from Spanish. Chilled, mugged, ginned, shipped, shot, rescued, looted, repaired, destroyed, bought, sold, squeezed, inflated, bumped, frozen, liquidated, evaporated, sandblasted, sponged down, smelled, licked, extruded, discombobulated, recombobulated, pilfered, rubbed, compressed, enveloped, siphoned, regurgitated, strained, fermented, poached, interrobanged, upcycled, violently downcycled, smelted, roboticised, and probinated. And you can earn yourself a very fetching Hutton decal for doing it. To get involved, you just have to go to hot.forthemug.com and download or sign up for the spectacular Hutton Helper, available in 3 exciting formats. Let's face it, anything has to be better than going outside and being immediately blown to ash like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. Anyway, that's it for this week. Transmitido desde mi escritorio en el norte de Gran Bretaña. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Mia. No, you'll never look at a French stick the same way again. Here's Amelia Hawke with this week's Galnet Race Digest to tell you why.
Good evening. This is Amelia Hawke reporting for the Galnet Rares Digest. We try all the galaxy's rarest and most dangerous commodities, so you don't have to. Here at the Galnet Rares Digest, we are no stranger to creatures and plants with homicidal tendencies. The kinds of flora and fauna that have a violent objection to whatever it is that humanity has decided to do. Usually involving riding, eating, or harvesting these creatures and plants for our own nefarious pastimes. So, it's absolutely no surprise that the notes for this week's Rares Digest come with a health and hazard warning. Approach with extreme caution. At a second glance, though, the rare, it's wheat. The kind of thing that grows in acres upon acres of farmland, gently wafting in the breeze, falling before the combine harvester, being turned into bread or booze. Unleavened or leavened wheat and the grain it produces is about as innocuous as it comes. Possibly the biggest danger I can think of is if you're intolerant to gluten. Or maybe a sack falls on you. The HR 7221 system is, as ever is the case, the exception to this rule. It sells a rare item, catchily named HR 7221 wheat. And it's rare. Not just maybe the loaf of bread costs a bit more than normal rare, properly rare. And apparently there's a good reason for this. Not because it grows slowly or only in one area of a planet. It's rare as, well, we've taken the decision to make it rare as otherwise bad things happen. Home to 3 interesting planets, and discovered by famous explorer Fenris Wolf, there is a water world with a rich ammonia atmosphere, probably not an ammonia world, that's an entirely different beastie, and its moon is an Earth-like. Nearby is another water world, this one rich in carbon dioxide. However, this system has spawned its own plant life that could be at home on Mars. In fact, the other name for HR 7221 wheat is Mars grass. It's red, bright, vibrant, definitely not traditionally photosynthesizing as if it was on Earth green, but red. Which, of course, can be attributed to a combination of the local atmosphere, color of the sun, and what suits it best for growing in this climate. And wow, does it grow! The red wheat is the most successful organism on the planet. When Fenris Wolf first discovered the system, what from orbit looked like a Mars-like landscape covered in red dust was actually a whole planet swathed in red wheat. It's edible, it's delicious, it's nutritious, and it makes for some really cool pink bread. Used in fermentation, it makes red and pink alcohol. In fact, if it was abundant, it would turn the average dinner table servings into vibrant, exciting things instead of stodgy pale browns everywhere. There's a but, and it's a big but. There's a reason that there was red everywhere on the planet when he arrived. This wheat has attitude. Where humans can be wheat intolerant, this is intolerant wheat. Just under the surface of the soil, below where the stem shoots up and has a head of tasty red grains, there's an entirely different organism. A mobile, toothy, tentacular beast. Okay, it's small. Each cluster of stems has a root ball that's no bigger than a small terrier. But I don't know, look out over a field, acres and acres of it, and for every 10 or so stems, there's an angry attitude-filled plant sleeping just under the surface. The heads of the wheat have photosensitive sections amongst the grains, and they're tuned to just one thing. The color green. They hate green. They'll uproot themselves and attack green. They'll smash it, devour it, destroy it, and in general ensure that anything green will not be propagating anywhere nearby. When the other native plants on this planet thrive in springtime, when it gets to summer and autumn, the hip wheat rears its head and its legs and goes on a rampage. Green stalks, lunch. Green shoots, light snack. Passing frog, total bastard, has to be killed. Of course, Fenris and other early settlers made a number of rather obvious mistakes. Traffic lights were torn down. The annual Robin Hood reenactment was a bloody affair. In fact, mention of the town of Lincoln caused local plants to rampage and destroy cars. The last person to chunder on the way home from the pub was set upon by a gang of angry wheat plants and spent a week in hospital. Imperials turning up with emeralds and peritos in their jewellery were mugged by an angry-looking herd of wheat. The list goes on. There was, for a while on the planet, and in difference to Mother Nature, a group of lobbyists who promoted veganism, electric cars, and living in harmony with the planet. Yeah, HIPS 7221 wheat put paid to that particular green lobby. After a few hundred years of attempting to live without the colour green, local inhabitants decided that enough was enough, and using special lamps, flamethrowers, and giant combine harvesters that were most definitely not made by John Deere, took the fight to the wheat and nearly exterminated it. These days, HIPS 7221 wheat lives on small islands that are very red. Islands where any algal blooms are rapidly removed for fear of the plants migrating. Instead, they're harvested by performance chefs for a very few special plates of food. HIPS 7221 wheat is tenacious. Xenomorph tenacious. Even slicing and toasting it doesn't fully kill it. I've been served a plate of freshly grown greens, some mock turtle soup, the green variety, some pesto and asparagus spears, and my waiter is bringing over one of those domed trays. He lifts off the silver dome with his tongs, places a HIPS 7221 red focaccia on my plate before stepping back in a hurry. I watch as the focaccia quite literally sprouts little legs or tendrils. My bread is moving. It practically leaps across the plate and it's attacking the lettuce with extreme prejudice. It has thrown the pesto bowl off the plate, which shatters against the floor, and it has leaped on the asparagus. In a small red and oily blur, it has devoured the asparagus and is looking over the edge of the plate as if it has rolled its sleeves up and is wanting a fight. Oh dear. It just poked one of the diners on the next table in the eye. Oh, the waiter has called an end to the serving experience and attacked the focaccia with a hip-mounted flamethrower. He's sprinkling salt on it. Anyway, this is Amelia Hawke reporting for the Galnet Rares Digest, and I've met the total bastard of a plant world, so you don't have to. And I tell you what, I've never been happier that I didn't order the Brussels sprouts than I have at this very moment. I wonder if it's ever met a Thargoid.
PWA. Plants with attitude.
Plants with attitude, PWA.
Oh my goodness, that stuff's evil.
It's horrid. They're vicious.
Green.
They're just horrible, vicious little terrier-sized tentacular things.
Yeah, I know, and green. I mean, anything green. I mean, you know,
anything green.
I know that little necktie that I was bought for last Christmas, and you know, it's going to rip it off my neck and devour it, and then give it a kicking. And
Cecil socks. Cecil socks.
Cecil socks. I mean, his feet are in danger. Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah. But anything green. This stuff hates green.
It must be pretty bad though if half of your dinner eats the other half of your dinner before you can eat any of your dinner.
You see that sweater that Chicks is wearing in his picture on the street?
Exactly. Mentioned that. My green combat sweater.
He'd be gone. He'd be dead.
Yeah.
They'd be all over him, and not in a good way.
There'd just be a sweater-shaped hole where he used to be.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, there's trouble in the near future. I mean, admittedly, you weren't in mortal danger there. I mean, you were dressed in not green.
Yes, I was dressed in a very suave black.
So if you got one of these things and it was colourblind?
Well, there must be varieties that maybe are. They're blue.
I would just attack anything that was grey.
Well, see, the thing is if you had a colourblind one there, it would probably try and attack all of its mates, not knowing which is green and which is red.
Well, possibly. I mean, your comment at the end there, I wonder if it's ever met a Thargoid. Maybe this is the new secret super weapon.
Ooh, never thought of it like that.
You know, chuck bread rolls made from hip 722. What's it?
Focaccia.
Exactly. just lob bread rolls at Thargoids and hope it eats them.
Is Chuck Bread Rolls a descendant of Chuck Norris?
Run into battle with a
It sounds
stick.
like they might be.
The baguette.
Amelia with a baguette, yes. It sounds like a bad Cluedo. Who was it? Well, it was Amelia in Hip 22460 with a baguette. Yes, a pink baguette.
Like a baguette out of hell.
You know, boomerang croissants across space, or you know.
I thought we were going to get through a whole day there without one.
Yeah.
What, a boomerang croissant?
Dyson would
no, a bad joke from Chicks.
That's 2 in a row.
Anyway, Amelia, you were relatively safe from this one. I mean, the worst you'd have got is a bit of a shoeing from a piece of bread.
The chef had a hip-mounted flamethrower, so I felt, well, not as safe as I should have probably.
Yeah, I mean, it should be no wonder in a big galaxy, you know, 400 billion star systems with goodness knows how many planets, there are going to be some pretty weird things out there.
Oh, as we've seen so far.
Exactly.
So he's doing it now.
Who? What?
A shoeing. Is that a pastry gag?
Oh dear.
It depends how you spelt it.
Well, I have
He's on a roll.
I'll philo that.
Oh
no! Look, Palantir has retired. We can leave the pastry jokes out now. Yes, and with custard all over my face, I suppose we better move on a tiny bit. Well, look, thank you very much.
All you've managed to do there, I mean, all we've done there is bread contempt.
I'm not going to rise to this one.
Oh no! Now everyone's doing it.
Look, if you lot start, yeah. Anyway, well, look, thank you very much to the presenters for joining me this evening, and my apologies for the additional scenes placed by me being in parts foreign, and all of the awesome Spanish translation by the apology officer there.
I thought I was Italian.
There was at least,
we know you did.
There was at least one compliment from somebody who said, I think it was Spanish. Oh, no, it was, Joshington Bob.
Yeah, I thought it might have been Spanish as well, but I wasn't sure.
No, Joshington Bob said they were impressed with the Spanish. Whose, I can't tell. Maybe it was Chicks's or, you know, Flossy's.
Probably Henry.
Flossy, what was your name again? It was enormous. You've got enormous aldabas. I mean, that sounds rude, but it's not. Those are the brass knuckles. You know, when you watch Labyrinth and there's those two on the doors arguing about which door you should go through. Those are what we mean. If anybody thinks we were being rude, then you're wrong. Okay. Yes, wrong kind of knockers entirely. Right. Well, we're going to be back next week. Now that the studio's working, I am actually broadcasting from here next week. I'm going to maybe Japanese. What do you think? Should we go Japanese next week? Yeah.
Warakara Maska.
Oh, crumbs.
Oh, there's two of them.
Can we go English?
Is that Japanese for Dyson with
Okay. All I'm saying is, while I'm here, about 100 yards over to my right-hand side is the local international food festival.
Oh, God.
So you
How can it be local and international?
It's local, and what the locals put stands on, and they hang a flag on it and say this is food from this country. So obviously, you know, the Argentine food there, they've got empanadas and they've got steak, big steak, lots of steak, and and they've got Dominican Republic, and then they've got the British stand.
Is it accurate?
Well, I don't know what patatas Manchester are.
Manchester.
But
it's
apparently,
just a potato. It's not cooked in any way.
So the lady who runs the British stand does not speak a single word of English, and so I asked what patatas Manchester were, and she shrugs and basically said in Spanish, "Would you like some?" I said, "No, but I want to know what a patatas Manchester." So I'm going to have to go back tomorrow to find out what patatas.
It's a potato with a Stanley knife.
Potatoes.
Yeah, Festal 1902 has suggested that it might be chips.
Yeah, it looks to me to be Doritos stuck in green, which is not good if you're a hip 7221 wheat monster. But apparently,
I've got another flour joke.
Oh, go on then.
Oh no.
Durham roll, please.
Oh dear.
Oh jeez.
Anyway, so yes, I miss my the thing is, of all the wonderful, glorious things you could have from the United Kingdom, I mean, is there any Stornoway black pudding? Are there any Cornish pasties? Are there any any of these great protected food? Cheddar here is bright orange.
Not even it glows. Wensleydale.
Cheddar glows in the dark and is orange here, which is just very, very wrong. So clearly, I need to re-educate them.
Chernobyl cheddar.
How they have it in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I have it in Scotland.
Mash. They don't even have mash or chips and gravy. They don't have even fish and chips. Given that we're on a seaport here and they can have the most wonderful bacalao, the most wonderful cod, but no, we don't even have cod and chips. We've got patatas Manchester. Yorkshire puddings, exactly, Flossy. They could have awesome Yorkshire puddings, no. They've got Doritos stuck in green.
You're going to have to educate them.
Well, it's no wonder the rest of the world says, oh, no, British food is awful. That's because when they serve British food, they make it up completely. I mean, you'd think they were writing, I don't know, the Galnet Food Digest or something.
You know what it is, though, don't you? You know what it is. They're just pissed off that they're foreign and we're British.
Oh, Steve suggested that it might be Stovies.
Could be. Well,
I love Stovies.
But the thing is, the two stands that have no one visiting them anywhere in the food festival are the British stand and the American stand, because the American stand serves hamburguesas. Yep, and
hamburguesas, Chicago.
And apparently salchipapa, which is chips with chopped up frankfurters in it.
That sounds more German than anything else.
And mayo on top. Yeah. So
now it's starting to sound American.
That genuine American food salchipapas, yes.
Mm.
Anyway, right, that's it for this week. Other than that, most of us will be back next week. Is there anybody who's not going to be back next week? No? Excellent.
I'm going to be back next week.
Now, for the benefit of our listener, we had one or two first-time listeners this week. The thing that's about to happen is exceedingly loud. So, if you object to having your eardrums burst by a very, very, very loud Amelia, then I suggest you move your headphones away from your ears. Just give it a few seconds. You can still hear me. Move them away from your ears right now, because Amelia's about to say...
Is it over yet?
For the mug!
For the mug!
For
the mug! For the mug!
Mug.
Muggity, mug.
No journey too long and no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading up the T-9s to the brim with grain. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug. Flossy always seems to crash into the sun. Swivel likes the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin at the front, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody yell. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud like you don't even care. For the bug, yeah, you know just where I'm coming from. For the bug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the bug, yeah, you know just where I'm coming from. For the bug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. Everyone's buggered off now, so why don't you bugger off too?